No, psychic out the penis.
Like, I just wanted people to have fireworks and everybody's shooting each other. And the guy invented Xerox. I just wanted people to make copies, and now they're making copies of these nuts.
You can still like put these nuts on stuff. All had razors in it. Ha! I got you all. Happy purge, motherfucker. I started recording the intro being like, hey guys, what if I did this? This is Skull Hunter Podcast. And then I saw the green bar at the bottom peeking through. I went, fuck, I hate that. I hate a lot of things. But you know what I don't hate? This podcast. Welcome to the Skull Hunter Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Anchor, your all-in-one platforming needs to do anything you want right at your disposal. I know it's crazy. I know it's insane. But you could download it. I would say link in the description, but please just type in anchor.com. You will find, or anchor.fm. Download the Anchor app today. They're a great sponsor. I'm talking too much about them. Charles, what can we say about Charles?
You better treat him with some. Anyways, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't have a horse in this race.
Charles has went to the great beyond. Okay, Charles has went to the dirtiest of racetracks. Charles is in the deepest boot camp of the KKC. He's the definition of the new. I can't do this to you guys. Charles is the new host of the Waffle House. Give it up for Charles. So he couldn't be here today. He is the new host of the Waffle House. So we are just trying to show our support here.
He doesn't show up to an episode. He ends up with the promotion.
Charles doesn't show up. He ends up with the promotion. Hey, you should try not showing up. See what happens. You can get a promotion.
Wait till you see what happens in post. There's gonna be animations.
It's just the whole. You put more time in this podcast ever, and you're growing like, please just watch the whole podcast from the beginning to the end. I watch it, and it's just constantly me getting blurred out, blackface. It's just constant. Well, I said blackface. I meant censored. You're over there.
There's an idea I need to write down. I just replace yours with scenes from when they did blackface on Mad Men. Anyways.
There was a comedian I was watching where it was like, oh yeah, well you can, blackface is wrong, right? Blackface is wrong, right? Blackface is wrong, right? Gotta ask the black people. Blackface is wrong, right? They're like, but the Navy SEALs though, they're like, blackface? They all about it. I'm like, oh my god. It's like, it's camo, but I fucking get it. And I was like, this is messed up. Great start to the Skull Hunter Podcast. This is podcast 68.
68.
Yeah, 60.
One away from the most pivotal episode
of the year. Obviously, when we do 169, it will still be a pretty good episode because it's still 69. So it'll still be a nice little episode. We might even do it 1.69 just to help some people out. But yeah, we're one away from it, and I'm excited because we've been talking about stuff we wanted to do with it. We have like 8 different people who want to be on, and I keep telling them it might just be me and James. That's right, James might come back. I was telling him like it might just be me and James, just be like, hey, we're here. But I was like, well, it could be just me and Joseph again. Me and you. Charles might be the new host of the Waffle House. He might be kicking up the. Honestly, guys, I'm sorry, Charles. He's not. He is the new host of the Waffle House, but right now he is burying bodies behind the Waffle House. So some of you may recall, some of you may not. He's in a NASCAR. He hit a Jew.
All right.
I love how hit a Jew. All right. Hey, I'm not. It could have been
laugh,
anyone.
But I also had to think. There's a certain satisfaction from that answer, but not for the. Okay, now. Long-time listeners know why that's satisfying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess. Okay, we're already breaking rule number 1, and it's don't make like inside jokes about past episodes, and people might not have seen the past episodes and stuff like that without at least saying, "Hey, it's from this episode." But It's actually a role in media where you're like, you don't sit there like with streaming, you don't have inside jokes with random people, because then if you start saying them a lot, people might not know, and then it's like they feel like an outcast. It's actually interesting. There's some little small rules in social media.
Sure. So I remember some of the first podcasts that I listened to. The idea of getting those in jokes was a reward for becoming a longtime listener.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I guess it sucks to not know those in jokes right away, but because they were all laughing, I was still able to absorb the humor that they were sharing with one another. And then over time, I get that reward for being a part of it and seeing something happen organically. So
Okay.
I'm not 100% on board with that rule, but I totally agree that like, hey guys, let's not make a habit of it. You know, once in a blue moon, every now and then, call back to something, or make your jokes so generalized that it doesn't matter if they're a callback. Like, you know, don't put hot sauce in your dick. Like that's timeless.
Yeah, I mean, that's just facts. I actually, dude, there's an update to that. So, I was on the phone with my brother. My brother's an EMT down in Arkansas, and love him to death. He called me the other night. You know, hello, hey man, how's it going? Going good. A couple minutes in conversation. He's like, do you want to know one of the worst feelings ever? And I'm like, what's the worst feeling? What is it? Let me know. What is the worst feeling ever? He's like, when you're cutting jalapenos and you touch your no. He was
I thought it had a bad, but he went right from the source, right to the source.
He went right from it, and he was like, he was doing it without gloves on because he's like, I ain't no bitch. He did it and touched his cock, and he's like, it burned and it was so bad. And of course I asked him the same question I had to ask you. Did you get aroused? His answer was no. He was like, no. But the way he said it, I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, but he did admit to me something, and he said not to talk about this, so sorry. So he said that he one puts Vaseline on his cock, like the mint Vaseline.
Oh, menthol.
Yeah, like the menthol, like Vaseline on it. Like he was giving his wife a massage and stuff like that, or something like that, and then he touched it, and he was like, it was like a weird cold and hot experience, and I'm just like, some people are into that. There are I had to buy condoms the other day for someone in DoorDash, and it was the hot and cold ones, and that's why we even started talking about this conversation. And so he was like, yeah, I had that experience. I'm like, what sex dungeon do you go to if you're constantly having these experiences? Like, no, dude, it was Vaseline. I don't care what it was. I just want to know why. Can I ask you something? You're like, I got an answer. You shouldn't have an answer to everything. There's sometimes you shouldn't have yeah, I know. I felt that. You felt that? When? Yeah, when I was walking down the street and a raccoon just boop, and I'm like, ugh. I don't get it. You know, it's but yeah, I got the update for that. I was like, okay.
I'm sorry that I have to ask this question, but I feel it's really important and pertinent to this conversation.
Yes.
But what's the worst thing that's ever happened to your chode?
To mine personally?
Yeah.
Because I'm not circumcised, it gets infected. I'm
not circumcised either.
Oh, you're not?
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess that's probably the worst. Now it doesn't sound, I mean, it's not impressive either. It's like, it's called, like, I don't know. As an adult now, I really don't have much. You know, I'm a grower, not a shower, and I think that's like the worst thing. That's the worst thing that happened, because then when it's cold out, you just got baby dick.
Yeah.
Just got baby dick.
I think it's more common than you think. Like I'm part of that camp too, and the fear of getting pantsed in high school is twofold. First is the embarrassment of having your junk exposed to everybody, and then on top of that is being like, no, everybody, it's not what you think. Okay, there's a lot of potential here. And okay, and the person starts like giving it a last ditch Hail Mary tug just to see if I could get it to.
Dong dong. So
I mean,
yeah.
from bad to worse.
I guess I get that though, because like I know there's probably like a picture of my cock out there somewhere, and the worst thing that I'm gonna have to explain to someone who sees it is not saying that it's not. I will admit if it's mine. It's saying, listen, you haven't seen it in full development yet. It's like an update that hasn't fully went through. Okay, just give it some time. You know, it will be impressive. And then it grows, and then they're like, nope, still not impressive, still a bad angle. Okay, thanks.
I'm surprised how much like filthier our conversations get without Charles.
Good point.
That confuses me. You would think, but anyways, back when I was on Tinder, this was years and years and years ago. I didn't talk to very many people, but one person we got to talking, and there was like, positive signs being sent out. She had sent me some naked pictures, and so she asked for some stuff in return, and I was happy to oblige. And sometimes when I sign up for like a new account on my computer, I signed up for a new account on my computer a couple of months later, and I guess one of my pictures was still saved to like OneDrive. I'm like, I've never once needed OneDrive in my life, and all it's done is like I get to the startups. Windows 8 would have like it was known for being the first iteration of the Windows desktop, and it picks the first image. So I sign up for a new account. All right, clean slate, no viruses, full refresh. First thing I see, oh, that's a picture I sent her. Praise the love of God. I've gone through extensive effort to wipe it completely out of my computer, but this person might still have it. And so, I mean, if she kills herself, I'm in the clear, and she was pretty mentally ill, so there's a good chance I'm in the clear. But if not, it's gonna be embarrassing.
I'd say like that's the worst thing about like if you think about if you're not famous and then when you become famous, because then you have like this whole worry about all the things I've said in the past, all the photos I've sent, all the inside jokes that I have sent out of context, like especially when you know they have screenshots too, because
that's why like
I'm screenshotting
and, for everybody who is still with us, who hasn't been totally offended at everything we've said so far. That's one of the reasons why I really do admire Trump as a politician, because his history is so rife with conflict and controversy and just like, tasteless things that he said and done. Before him, I never would have thought I had a chance in hell of becoming a public servant. Whereas now, I would also need to be filthy rich to emulate him, but that's beside the point. But just like the idea of accepting people as they are and just being like, hey, look, this person is the right fit for the job, then the job is way more important than all the terrible things that people have said and done. So I'm hoping that we can get to that point where we really do need to worry about who's the right fit for the job. But I understand that, like, hey, these are public servants, they need to be figureheads, they need to be the leaders of the country, colloquially speaking. Technically speaking, that has nothing to do with it. Like, you're literally just an employee working for people. So
you don't even get a say.
Yeah, I'm not as worried as I used to be, but I still worry about, like, I crack lots of jokes here, and it's probably going to get me into trouble at some point down the line. And there may be some people who've rubbed me the wrong way, and I've weaponized some of the content that I saved because I've been the editor for them. So, I'm the arbiter of my own destiny, because like the thing I'm afraid of, I'm kind of doing myself too. These people are pricks. I'm an idiot, and I'm an asshole like once every 6 months, but I genuinely try to make the world a better place. So,
I mean, as long as you're trying to improve something, I mean, that's all that matters. Like, for me, I'm more worried about, like, I don't know, like the stupid stuff. Like, for one, I'm gonna really help date some people here. So there's these like throwaway cameras you could buy, and they're like and yeah, the wind up, yeah, like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Classic.
those were disposable cameras, is what they were called, and then a lot of people with their iPhones now going, "What the disposable camera?" I don't give a fuck. So I know I've definitely taken a picture of my asshole, and and my cock underage. So, Sandy, if you still have those photos, can you please return them? Thank you. Like, the worst
I wonder
thing
if the guy who invented the Xerox machine was going through the same like existential guilt that the guy who invented gunpowder was going through. Like, I just wanted people to have fireworks and everybody's shooting each other. And the guy who invented Xerox, I just wanted people to make copies, and now they're making copies of these nuts.
Oh, speaking of these nuts, I think that's a perfect segue to Mr. Beast's new
I'm
chocolate
so sorry, because you were going to
selection.
say something. Let's get that done, and then we'll segue it.
Oh yeah, so yeah, we'll get back to D's nuts later. Trust me, I will find another way to segue to that. So I remember like taking so many of those photos, and the whole worry in my mind was like, it wasn't like my mom can luckily say, and this is why I'm like worried about it, is like, if someone ever finds those cameras, it's like, okay, they could sit there and say like, throw away the footage, but someone's gonna be like, let's look at it. I'll be more worried about what the repercussion of like my family's gonna have. No one's gonna know it's me. You can't even recognize me as a, from my younger self to now. I grew literally so massive in such a short time, and so I'm just worried about like my family getting the repercussions of it, being like, you had pictures of your child's dick online, you had pictures of their asshole, you sick. And I'm like, listen, that was my doing. I was a child, and I did childish thing. You took a picture of your listen, I know. Is it good? It's like, I couldn't see it because you had to go and get it developed. So I never got to see my asshole, but I hope it was good. So yeah, just, I don't know. Those are most of the worried things I have, because I think I've given people a lot of weapons to use against me. Mostly just personal information, like, when it's all said and done, I'm a crazy person. I know I am. When I sit there, like, if I get angry enough, I just sit there and go with, like, I will find you, and I will kill you. And I'm not joking. And then people are just like, oh, yeah, he's joking. I'm like, and I ask myself, am I though? Like, if I got angry, could I kill it? Yeah, I could.
Yeah, there's some people from my history who are very lucky that we have laws right now.
You were over there already cleaning the machete going, yeah, that's a law. Damn it.
That's a law.
That's a law.
Yeah, that's a law.
I was going to cut off his dick. But
I need to intensely watch the Purge series and see if I can pick up on any clues on how to pass legislation to try to get a Purge night.
Do you think the Purge could ever happen, like an actual legal thing? Do you think that would
I
ever
am
happen?
shocked that it hasn't happened already.
See, like,
shocked,
growing
I
up,
tell you.
I was always scared of like something like that happening, and then the movies came out, and I went, "Holy shit!" But when it's all said and done, I don't feel like it could actually happen, because the thing is yeah, one day of no laws, but the next day, let's be honest, they're just gonna find the people who did all the murdering and just shoot them on the spot. They're just gonna be like, "Cool, next day, listen, Joseph, you killed 72 people in 3 hours. That's like 100 years to life. You're not getting out anytime soon." I invited
them all to the same event. Well, no, but what you're saying, I think that just kind of defeats the idea, though, is that you're not held accountable for anything that happened. So if it gets out and people learn the truth, then they got to wait a whole year, and so like, you got to be really careful, really selective about who you take out on the Purge nights. You can't. You have to treat it like you could be arrested, right? Burn your fingerprints, or use tweezers to put your gloves on, so that way they don't. There's no fingerprints on the gloves. Make sure that you have your whole route mapped out. Study the
patterns.
Guys,
he's thought about this. It's in the book sitting on his desk right now. He already had it mapped out. He knows what he's doing. He's just waiting for the day.
Yeah, like you're right that there's going to be consequences the next day. 128%. There's going to be consequences. That's why you got to like prep for this really carefully.
Yeah, it was like the one thing. While I was I have my concealed carry, and I know people are like, you shouldn't talk. Yeah, I think you should, if you can, even though you could be in a state where you can conceal carry, still get it. Because at least then, when an officer shows up and you don't tell him you have a firearm, if he sees your concealed carry, he at least knows, if this dude was gonna shoot up a place, he wouldn't have sat there and went through a 8-hour course to get a concealed carry. Like no one's gonna do that. So
yeah, like if somebody was that psychotic, they probably have someone in mind.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going, I'm going to take this man out. Yeah, I'd like to sign up for an 8-hour course. Oh, $120? Okay, sure, here you go. No!
Firearm looks, say, could I sign up for a firm so I can pay this gun off in increments?
Like, at least say, I'm going to go through a shooting range for about 5 hours. Like, that's understandable, but, except with the price of bullets now. But, anyways, what I was getting to that is like, I would sit there, and I went to the concealed carry course, and one of the biggest things they said is like, self-defense laws and things like that do protect you. But what it doesn't protect you of is the aftermath of like that person's family, that person's friend, that person's whatever. It's like they can still come after you, sue, everything else, actually put you in jail. I'm like, this can't be a thing. It's a thing. If you, let's say, just super hypothetical, someone broke into my house.
Everything we've talked about so far is hypothetical.
Everything hypothetical. Guys, listen. Everything's hypothetical. This is the hypothetical podcast. Welcome. So everything's hypothetical except everything we talked about. Charles, 100% true. Please hide. So let's say Charles broke into my house with a gun. Like he always shows off on his screen every time. He always brings a gun in every podcast. He shows it to my house. He has a gun. And I'm like, whoa. Charles, this is crazy. How'd you get here? He's like, I'm here to kill you, motherfucker. If I sit there...
Hold on. We're going to do a Charles impression. We got to make sure we honor his legacy.
Okay.
I just fucking punched and kicked my way through getting into your fucking house.
But why do you want to kill me so bad?
I don't know. Probably because of all the fucking times you fucking shot me at the back of the fucking head and fucking halo.
Calm down! Bang! Dead. Well, guess what?
Now who's friendly firing who, huh?
Now who's friendly firing?
I did that impression with love.
All love. We love you, Charles.
Never do an impression out of hate. It just rots away the soul. If you're gonna embody somebody else, do it out of love.
Do it out of respect.
Frick.
Yeah, do it out of respect for the character.
Yeah.
So if Charles did that, I shot because he had a gun pointed at me, even said the words, I'm going to kill you. His family, his friends, anyone could literally come after me legally, and I could go to prison for manslaughter. Self-defense laws only help you for that person. So it's like, that's where it's like the purge idea wouldn't be a great thing, because afterwards you might as well shouldn't have committed any crimes. The only crime that I think you should be able to commit is go to a grocery store and just take whatever you want. Like, that's the only law. If a purge happened, I would just go to my local Casey's and go, listen, I've been paying $2 for this thing of ramen. I'm just going to take it. And you can't
I just remembered. I think we actually have, like, it's actually legal to duel in Canada.
I thought that was the UK.
Well, I mean, Canada is still a colony of the United Kingdom, so I'd have to look this up.
Yeah, go ahead and look it up, because I'm genuinely curious. I know, like, there was an old time period to where it's like people.
Oh no, it's illegal. I'm sorry.
Damn, guys. I guess we're not going to Canada anymore.
wait. 2017. Sorry, the news is in 2017. It says it's now legal to challenge someone to a duel in Canada. Interesting.
Now, is that a fight to the death, kinda, or do you have to do the white glove? Just get a cum-filled
I don't know.
latex?
I think if I get a nut shot in and then break the guy's nose, I think I'm happy. I'm a happy camper.
No, that's fair.
But it's because one of the things that you're encouraged to do is that, like, if someone is giving you a hard time in school, aka being a bully, things you're supposed to do is, like, stand up to them, then they respect you and they leave you alone. I went to a school where we had cops showing up all the time. Eventually, this was after my time there, but the cops basically had a permanent office fixture there. Wow. Did you guys ever? Because he was very popular in the news, even in American media. We had a mayor, Rob Ford, who he made national headlines. He was on Jimmy Kimmel, and like he made headlines for being like he was like Donald Trump before Trump. Like he was like if the Dieppe invasion in Canada versus Omaha Beach in the U.S., he was kind of like the Dieppe invasion. So a lot of the patterns the two of them share. And when Toronto Sun, our local newspaper, did this like evening release where they had an image of him smoking crack. This was, remember, if they do the job, and so all I'll just say is our school was fucked up. There was gang associations there for sure. Okay, nobody got shot, but there were stabbings. I'm pretty sure if I stood up to my bullies there, I'd be dead. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have gained my respect. I'm pretty sure they would have come back and just straight up killed me. So I don't know if that always makes sense in context. It's hard to imagine a situation de-escalating because you broke a guy's nose. I don't know about that one, Chief.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to school. For those of you who may not know, I've said this many times. I've never been to a school. I haven't even set foot inside a school until my early 20s, and even then, I was there delivering food. I've never been to school. Self-taught legend. You look actually genuinely surprised.
No, I don't remember this.
What?
I respect it. Like, I don't want to put my kid through school.
Then let me real fast. Go on to, honestly, I don't know to answer your question. I don't know.
Once every 3 months, we need to do a one-on-one episode.
Dude, I agree. Like, I don't know. It's nice. It's nice to be able to like have these one-on-one conversations. When we were taking our little break from the podcast, we would still get together every week, and we're just bullshit about everything and anything that came to our mind was just like bullshit. And then we're like, okay, yeah, good talk. Time to go, and we leave. We pretty much had an offline podcast without a podcast.
Right, fuck you, I'm out.
Like, fuck this shit, I'm out. It was nice. But yeah, to answer the actual school question, no. So I'm dyslexic. So learning's already hard for me, but my mom and dad really couldn't afford school. Plus the school system that was right after 9/11, and that was kind of And my brother started getting bullied a lot in school and stuff like that, and then. We just weren't good financially, so my mom and dad wanted to homeschool us, and unfortunately, I wasn't willing to talk about the issues I had learning, and I have a weird thing, and I tell people this all the time. I'm dyslexic, but it's like God sat there and said, "Hey, you want photographic memory?" And I said, "Yeah," and then the file got corrupted halfway through the download. So I can't read words. I remember words. And I've talked about this a lot, that I can't actually read. I remember words that I see. So if there are two words that look identical, like Taylor and Tyler, I cannot tell you which word is what. I cannot. And I get that wrong all the time. I'd be like, I'm here for Tyler. And they're like, Taylor? Sure, that's it. And I can't read words. I can't sound them out. I literally cannot read. I go off memory. So thank you, Google, for Google Translate, because that's the only reason I've gotten anywhere in life. That's why there's a lot of autocorrects, too, that you point out and other people point out, and I'm like, I learned something. And the worst part is I didn't accept the fact that this was a problem until I was 18, when I got my main job at Amazon. And I went through the whole entire time at Amazon. No one knew. No one fucking knew, because I just Google translated and got along with people. They'd be like, this is Raul. I'm like, okay, Raul, that name looks okay like Raul. Okay, sure. Muhammad, okay. Muhammad was common there. I was like, okay, cool, good to know. But yeah, so I never went to school. Everyone out in my family at least had a day at school. I have not had one. And I self-taught myself most of it because, unfortunately, my mom, everyone tried to help me. But if I didn't tell them what was my problems with learning, how the fuck are they supposed to help me with it? But I'm really good at quick math. Like, crazy good at it to where I don't think about the number. I just go, yeah, well, you should do this, and it'll be 72. So, yeah. And I'm like, wait, is that correct? And I look and I'm going, holy shit, it was 72. I'm actually pretty good at this. And then it's like reading. It's like, you put Tyler and Taylor in front of me. I'm like, the left one's Tyler, right one. Fuck! So, okay, cool. I guess that's not right. But, yeah, it's, I lived. I'm good.
Can I put you on the spot for the quick math?
Sure,
26 plus 58.
26 plus 58? What is that, like 76? 74?
84.
84, okay.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm a finger counter, so it would have taken me quite some time to get to that. Like,
hey,
I'm terrible at math. I was only able to understand math because of like I understand certain rules about math, like rule of threes. Like if it's a six, then you need a four to get to the next 10-digit integer. It just no, it
Yeah.
was a mess for me.
So
But yeah, no, that's crazy. So like I don't know, maybe you mentioned it in passing and it was just like there was a lot of cross chatter or something like that, and I didn't register it. But like school is quite literally one of the least favorite things about my life, my lived experience. In addition to the fact, oh no, I have a tendency to remember the negative stuff more than the positive stuff. If
yeah.
I got a book and started like journaling down all the positive things that happened to me, I think there would be quite a few things that I maybe haven't remembered actively. But what I actively remember are like all of the things where I felt like I was treated unjustly by teachers and by other students, and like maybe two or three times throughout the day, I imagine myself bringing a frying pan to school and hitting somebody in the back of the head. So there's a lot of hard stuff that I don't have the easiest time getting over. And then I think about everything that has made me able to contribute to society. It didn't have a lot to do with school. I
No.
taught myself to animate. I taught myself to edit. I taught myself everything about podcasting when we were all trying to learn podcasting at the time. And what was very distinct about my lived experience for myself, people like born in like 89 and there would be like a 5 year differential in either direction, is that we were the last generation that was taught to put all of our trust into institutions like school, like academia, which is okay, it's the same thing, but advanced school, with large companies that would bring a person on for 40 years, with government. And what we saw due to the emergence of the internet was that just wasn't the only way to do things anymore. There was very clearly another outlet. And while it didn't exactly pay right away, the money is certainly accumulated over time, and now people can just do whatever the hell they want as long as you stick to your guns. You're going to be good in the long term. So watching our previous generations, like the boomers, think that they knew exactly how things were going to go, only to see technology completely pull the dinner cloth right out from their carefully laid out kitchenware, plates, glasses, all that. That's a once in a universal experience that has never happened before, and it'll never happen again in the span of one person's experience. So us millennials, we have a once in a universe point of view of just seeing what happens when institutions do not have the power over us that they used to. So I look forward to being a father, and I'm going to put my kid in school just to try. Like if my kid actually is like doing okay in school, and not everything is perfect, but at least my kid is making friends and is facing a fair set of challenges, then okay, all right. The kid can go through school. But as soon as shit hits the fan, my kid, I'm pulling my kid out.
I think
There's no way I would let my kid go through it, because my parents were afraid of like, what happens if somebody drops out of school. You would think that our lives are ruined.
Yeah. And that's an interesting point. Like I think a lot of people now, obviously I don't have kids. I don't know, but hell, I'm only 23, so I don't really know. But what I've known from a lot of people is like it's a social embarrassment too. Like a lot of people, if you put Jimmy in a school for 8 months, but things are just bad there for him, but you don't move and you don't move schools, you just get him out of school, it's like a social embarrassment to them, because now they're like, now I'm the special kid who got booted out of school and all this stuff. So it's more, I think now everything's just more like a social embarrassment more than anything else, because like our bullies now are more cyberbullies. And I'm not gonna be one of those guys who are saying cyberbullying, and I used to get bullied as a kid in school, like physical punch. The mental scars hurt more because that sticks with you. That's why mental depressions, things like that, or not mental depression, but depression's a big deal. Mental health is such a big deal now than it was before, because we have all the social medias and everything else. It's not something that grew overnight. You can see the development. But in that same boat, now we're at a point where if you take your kid out of school, you're hurting their social aspect. But if you leave them in school, you could hurt their social aspect and their physical appearance. And it's like, there's no winning besides try to be the parent that says, let's sit down and talk. What do you want to do? What can I do as a parent? Like, it's so hard, because I know someone's gonna be out there going, you're not a parent, shut the fuck up. And I disagree with you. I'm not a parent, but I'm an uncle. And as an uncle, I would truly want to sit there and like sit down with them saying, what are the problems? Can we fix the problems? And if they're like, and especially the age has a big thing too. If they're 6-year-old, yes, they have a say, but you also have the final say. You're the adult, you're the parent. You need to sit there and take that final step and say, hey, well, do this, go with this, but talk to your children. Talk to them, try to help figure things out and stuff like that. Because right now, I would just say, man, fucking boot them, be homeschooled. What the school teach you anymore? But in the same boat, if I went to school, how much smarter do you think I would be? Like, I'm genuinely curious. If I went to school and actually learned and got help for being dyslexic, how much smarter would I be? Would I still have a speech impediment? Would I still have, like...
I think it can go either way. Like, I think it might...
How much dumber would I be?
It might... What it might do is enhance your potential insecurity about it, because you'll have a teacher saying, well, we got to put you into a special program, we got to keep you out of class, look at your marks versus other people's marks. So it would have you could have gotten help for it, but it also could have reinforced the deep underlying emotional distress that it's causing you. So it's a gamble. Like it's if you're lucky, it's a 50-50. But your point about the social embarrassment is a crucial point, and it's one I'm glad I heard made beforehand and not afterwards, because you're right. The school is a community institution. Just because the kid doesn't go to school doesn't mean that the kid is never going to run into those other people. Mm-hmm. So that requires some forethought how to avoid that situation. It might be to prepare a move, right? Like if we're just renting and we can just pick up our computers and go, then okay, we can just start and do a fresh start somewhere else. That there's plenty of small towns all around Toronto, and most of them have internet. I would say, and I think this would be a good experience for the child as well, is look for a school that is outside of the community boundaries. I think that would give the child a chance to have a larger perceived worldview. Because I think what happens is that if a kid just walks down the street to a school, then the kid ends up with a very small town mindset, even though that town might not be very small. Whereas if the kid has to get on a bus, and the bus ride is like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and is in another part, that's a lot of growth. It creates a degree of separation between the school and the home, and the two separate worlds. And it encourages the kid to kind of be a different person, right? I'm going on the bus. I'm going to 10 minutes. I'm off on the day's adventure. Mm-hmm. And if it's bad, then you associate the danger with, hey, this is part of the adventure, right? Adventures can be dangerous. And if it's good, then I think that's the best way to build the kid's confidence. So I think that would be my plan going into it. So yeah, it's that's a huge part of the problem.
Yeah. No, I mean, you said it well there. I think the biggest thing would just be is to sit there and, for one, I think it obviously has to come down to the time. You're the adult, you get the final say. But especially in a kid situation where it's like, let's say it's physical bullying, stuff like that, name calling, physical harassment, stuff like that. That's where it's like, if the school's not doing anything, get them the fuck out. I think that's pretty easy to say.
Schools will not do anything about it, because unless you're talking about a private charter school, public schools are funded by attendance. They're not funded by anything. Well, they may be funded by performance, but probably not. Which means that if one person is being singled out, but 30 people are targeting it, you're not going to kick out 30 kids. The school will not have enough money to continue if in that way. So unfortunately, by the way the institution is set up, the victims are also victimized by the system. So the kid has to learn to cope with it and deal with it. And when you find in a lot of these cases that this is just not the right environment for them. Schools are good at for people with certain kinds of intelligence, but we have like 7 to 12 different kinds of intelligentsia, and a lot of those do not fit in an institution. So the best thing that you get out of school is knowing that you don't belong in the system.
Yeah. No, I think that's well stated there. Now I will sit there and state this. I was outside a a schoolyard. That already sounds wrong. Chris Hansen, everybody. So I was outside in a schoolyard last Valentine's Day. I forgot. Yeah, I did a whole Valentine's Day thing. So I was out there and I was giving people Valentines and stuff like that for a video, and there was like so many people there that were like so kind, and there was also like some people there that's just like didn't want anything to do with it. But there's a lot of interesting like people there who just like, I don't know. Everyone was like so kind and things like that from the outside. But now I'm just like, I don't want to know what it's like to sit in a classroom with these people. Like, I don't know what their social medias are like their dorm rooms and just everything else. I'm just like, these people are probably the world's biggest dicks. Like, I hate to say it, but like, these people are probably assholes. And, you know, it's no harm to you being like, do what makes you happy, I guess. But I'm just like, no, like they're nice on the outside, but evil on the inside. I'm like, no, I'm good. Especially when we say no to chocolate. If a man is giving, well, you're accepting candy from a stranger, so a lot of people fucked up there. But so that was one of the jokes too that didn't make it in the video. For those of you who haven't seen it, I made a video where I gave out Valentines to a bunch of people. I just wanted to do something nice, got a bunch of Valentines chocolates, and started giving them out to everyone. And there's a few people who are like, oh my god, yes, but they wouldn't want to be my Valentine. But they're like, chocolate? Yeah, I'll take it. So they fucking failed the test number 1. Don't take candy from a stranger. You clearly did. They all had razors in it. Ha! I got you all! Happy purge, motherfucker!
Happy purge.
Happy purge, I got you all 37 of you. But there's a few people that are just like, you know, no, I'm good. Or the one guy... Though I get it, the one guy I got on my knees for, so that didn't look good either. But I got on my knees, I was like, will you be my Valentine? And the guy's like, no. I was like, do you still want some chocolate? And he's like, I'm straight, bro. And I went, it's chocolate. I'm not asking to suck your dick. I just want to give you chocolate. And so the whole entire time I'm thinking of the SpongeBob's like, chocolate, the whole time I'm doing it, to a point where we had to travel to like 4 different towns to finish giving out all these Valentines. And to the last town, I just sat there and said, fuck it. I'm just going to give it to anyone I see. And I'm giving out to these people, giving out to the guys, giving out to the women, not even asking to be on my Valentine. I'm just like, you want this? I got drive somewhere in like 30 minutes. Do you want this? And they're just like, sure. And I'm like, cool, here, happy Valentine's. Leave them alone. But then I asked myself afterwards, I'm like, how would I react if someone went up to me in a suit? I was wearing a white button-up, red, wine red sports coat and a red tie, walking up to people with a microphone, going, "You want to be on my Valentine?" But a lot of people said yes. I was very surprised that a lot of people said yes. Now I do know I'm a good-looking guy, but there were some people that like stayed around to hope to have a conversation afterwards, and I just fucking booked it out of there because my girlfriend was recording the whole time. So it's like, you know, she's like, "Oh yeah," and then like, "We met Valentine."
Good call. Yeah, I think having
have a good one.
They look over and they see a girl with a camera, be like, "Oh, okay, he's being dared. All right."
I'm over there doing this. Be my Valentine. Just giving a little suggestion, like, look to your left. Not a single person cared. Like, I was walking around with GoPro for a bit. I was walking around with like the microphone like to my chest. No one cared. Like, I thought that was like the cool thing. No one actually gave a fuck about me recording or anything else. Just like, okay. Security drove by many times in many different places, even cops, and they just didn't care either. They're just like, we don't get paid enough. I'm like, do you want chocolate? Like, I'll give you chocolate. Only thing I was worried about was being kicked off the campus in the first 30 seconds. Because as soon as we got there, like, security immediately started pulling up. I'm like, I just wanna. But in no defense, though, I'm a random vehicle driving around this schoolyard. With cameras on the back of the car, in the car, and a window down with the camera the whole time. I'm like, you know what? That's fair. You're doing your job, and I appreciate you. But it was a weird, like, I guess it was a weird social. I'm not socially awkward to say, but it's different when you're trying to perform in real life versus on a stage. When you're on stage, people are there to see you be funny or to see you perform or to see you respond. But when you're just going up to random people going, "Hey, would you be my Valentine?" They're like, "Oh, like that was such a challenge for me, and that's why I even posted a video. That it did well. It got over 200 views. I think it's still getting views right now.
So next time you just need to go up to view and be like, just act like someone who's struggling to do the video.
You wanna? You
pants
want?
are like one size too big and they just fall.
I just constantly pants myself the whole time.
By the way,
Chris Hansen.
I went on a TikTok hiatus for a while because I was kind of burnt out after the last one that I did. But
Fair.
well, I'm just gonna play it for you. The Canada Revenue Agency may be going on strike this year of 2023, causing potential delays in tax filing services. In unrelated news, the Baby Shakers Union of Canada will be going on strike as well. Inside sources report that because basically no one is rooting for them, the strike may not go in their favor. Canada Revenue Agency.
What the fuck? Why have that also been on my feed? Like, I will like every one of your posts. I never seen that. But I also.
Well, I posted it today, so maybe.
Oh yeah, I wasn't on social media today. I literally. It sounds so bad, but. I do work on social media and stuff. Today, I was so busy on social on one certain thing or several different things. I actually checked. TikTok will give you screen time, like how long you're on the app for. For the whole week of last week, I've been on TikTok for only 32 minutes. And remind you, it takes a minute to post. So that means it takes a minute to post to TikTok. So you take 7 minutes out of that, because I post it once a day. You take 7 minutes out of that. I'm only on TikTok for about 28 minutes a day. Or for the whole week. 28 minutes for the whole week. YouTube, on the other hand, they give you like the bars. Like they for some reason give you like the Verizon wireless, like mine are just bonk, 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 bonk at the top, and then I click on it and it's like 11 hours, 13 hours. 14 hours because I have it on all night while sleeping. And then I wake up and I turn it on my TV. Then I'm posting. Then I'm doing video stuff. Now I'm researching video. Now I'm listening to music. So YouTube just constantly shows it's on. And at this point...
I know that YouTube, they're planning on making like a new podcast setting. So that if you go to a channel, you know, it's separated by live, by videos, and they can be separated by podcast now. So that's going to be a positive sign, but it does make me wonder about how a lot of these like hybrid producers are going to deal with it, because a lot of them have made video content that is podcasted, but not really a podcast. Like, so I don't want to get too far into that conversation because we're not dealing with it yet. But I like to see them do that too. If we're just like, hey, look, if this is a music. It's a music, okay? It doesn't need to be treated by the algorithm the same way that like my general interest, video essays, political stuff needs to be treated. It shouldn't be the one same algorithm.
Yeah. No, I feel that because also with podcasts, you're dealing with such a different algorithm too. And just like the watch time metrics alone, like YouTube, you're lucky if you can get like more than 30% of people to watch through the first 30 seconds of your video. With a podcast, it's like you're lucky if you get people to watch the first 20 minutes of your podcast. And it's such a huge like number difference, but it affects it so much. Like we could release an hour-long podcast and our viewer duration is 50%, but half the people only watch 20 minutes of it. That will show YouTube the podcast fucking sucked. Like that will show YouTube going, no. But it shows in the first 30 seconds, over 80% of people stayed, so come on. And it's like, no. Versus if you do the exact same thing, but the only difference is that 20 minutes versus 30 minutes. 30 minutes, YouTube's like, okay, boy, come on, bring in some more. It's like, you got this, let's go.
This is also why podcast-specific analytics are a pretty important part of the picture, because the assumption is that a podcast consumer, someone who's getting content from Spotify or Apple, or in my case, Podcast Addict, which, by the way, great app, hasn't given me a couple problems once in a while, but mostly been pretty good, is that it's kind of like what you're saying, but like, hey, if people are going to a comedy show or a live show, they're warmed up to it, money has been spent, time is being invested, so there's a greater degree of wanting to get the return on investment. So engagement from people on the podcast analytics is I would argue more important to look at because there's so many variables to YouTube content consumption that we don't know. Like, yeah, somebody can have it on and it could be going through the whole thing, but for all we know, it's just left on by accident, or
Yep.
the algorithm just autoplay to the next thing. And so there's a lot of gray area in terms of like what is this information actually telling us. It could be, yeah, this person, oh, this is actually pretty funny. I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna come listen to it later, and then later never comes. Like these things happen. So
Yeah.
the real engagement metrics have always been like commentary and what people are willing to say in chat, and and that's a troubling thing because it's sorry to say everybody, but we don't get very many comments, and I understand it's the empty dance floor problem.
Yeah.
I call it the empty dance floor syndrome. We've had this problem for not just we, but like people have had this problem for
Yeah.
years. Is that no one wants to be the first person to face the scrutiny of being the first person. If you're lucky, you get one of those like really bold people who embrace that pressure and embrace the scrutiny and want that
First.
attention. But yeah, people only
Yeah.
write first because they know someone else is going to be second.
Yep. They
Yeah.
want to be the first one. So I gotten to the point in my TikTok and YouTube stuff where people will do that now. But yeah, I mean, for one, if you do like the podcast, please leave a comment. You don't have to. We see your views. We see it all. We appreciate you guys. You guys are the only reason. Okay, you're not the only reason we're doing this. We do like actually sitting down here and talking, but. You guys are a big help. Seeing a view on a video means the world to us. Seeing 2 means even more to us. When we hit double digits, I come. I see it. I'm driving down the road. I see double digit. I went, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Make sure
Well,
they say, wow.
I got a great thing I want to bring up because I think this is going to tie in a lot of what we're talking about. So let me just say that like the fact that people are listening like right now, like you're listening to this, the things that I'm saying, that's huge. Like it really does mean a lot. And it would be nice if it was, a lot of people. But I'm super thrilled that there's really people out there right now that are enjoying this content. So
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you a story. So this weekend was something that I am fortunate to do only once a year, except for the past couple of years because of the pandemic. It's a podcast unconference. That's an important distinction where called PodCamp, and this is essentially the only school I've enjoyed since college. I went to college for a comedy program, so the way it works is that people can submit classes, which is they're about an hour at length, and it's whatever you want as long as it has something to do with podcasting. I've come to this program for like 8 years at least. I don't know. I've had a hard time keeping track of it, but I've been one of the most recurring regulars of it. After about 8 years, we had the last session of the weekend was a meeting just about look, revenue has been really hard to generate, so we are going to need help if we're going to do this again next year. And that's when I realized that after being a fan for 8 years and just being a consumer of the content. Now I've bought a couple of T-shirts, so I've put some money down, but I've largely been more taker than giver, right? I've done one session. I submitted a session to it once, so I did a talk at one of the years, but for the most part, it's been something that I've come to more to receive rather than to give. And I contacted them afterwards and said, okay, let me know what it is that you guys need help with, and I'm sure other people are doing that too. So the community is ready to get on board and start participating, so that the organizers who've been doing this year after year, they don't have to worry about taking all that burden on themselves anymore. And I do feel like depending on what's the status of something, how much does it really mean to a person, one of these days you do need to cross that threshold of just being a fan to being a supporter, someone who is willing to give a little bit to add to the legacy of the show in their own way. So that's when for me, maybe a couple of years earlier would have been a little bit more helpful, because now we've hit that like do or die moment where now, okay, now we have to act. Otherwise, we're not going to do it next year. So that's something that I'd like everyone to think about is like, at what point do you feel it's necessary to jump in and take that extra step and become more of an active participant and less of a consumer. It's hard to do. Like I've paid to support people. I've even paid for some adult entertainment. So my conscience is clear, but it's something that I think a lot of people need to decide for themselves. At what point am I willing to make a difference in this, right? We have a small listener base. I think we have like what 9 to 12 people. If all 12 people were actually willing to tell 12 other people about the show and say, guys, this show is not popular yet, but holy shit, these guys are funny. And to actually enjoy being a part of something while it's growing rather than just getting in on something when it's popular, which makes up like 70% of my personality. So I don't actually have a question. I just wanted to talk about this and just be like, yeah, this is something that we all need to think about. We all need to decide whether or not it's what's worth our time and what's worth our energy and what's worth our resources.
Yeah, I agree. And with that, I mean, you're sitting there saying about like how like just sitting there like being a part of something, and especially like when it's small, and I'm happy with this. Like we are growing. The fact that we have grown more since we started season 2 than what we've done the whole entire time is amazing. And we got to see those numbers. That's why I always say I love doing this podcast. I've even considered just forcing another weekly episode base. But I'm like, if we do it, we're going to ruin it because we don't have time to even post on socials. My fault. But hitting the share, hitting the like, well, we see it on TikTok. We see it on YouTube. You guys hit the like button. Shares are a little harder to see. All we get to tell is, hey, someone shared it. You could just copy the link. No matter what, it still helps. But in the example of like when you take that step, I had that experience with Rooster Teeth. Rooster Teeth has made some of my favorite creators in some of my favorite shows, including Achievement Hunter, where I wanted to do the podcast off of. Is they do a podcast called Off Topic, and I love that podcast. It's one of my favorite podcasts out there, and I was like, I want to sit down with a bunch of boys and just have some conversations, get some guests and stuff. I think it will be great. And I was like, I don't support the show. Like I don't share their content. I barely hit the like button, and it's like I will watch it or listen to it, and that's it. So it took me a while, and I think like 3 years ago, I finally said I'm going to become a first member. So. And it's $5 a month. It's not, and I'm not trying to. I'm making sure we're not selling you guys on anything. But in the boat, like I was like, I had to give something back. Like these guys are going through COVID, going through all this stuff, going through diversity issues and things like that. There's still a gnat flying around because of our in-house garden, and I hate it. But there's all this stuff happening. I'm like, I don't show these guys my support. Like I tag them on social, and they always respond to me, and it's cool. But I'm like, I don't actually like show my support. So I became a first member, and now I'm like. I don't know. It's a weird, like, clear sign. Like, going, like, I'm supporting them. I've been a first member for over 3 years. I don't comment on there. But I have, like, 57 followers on there. I was like, God damn, why? I'm like, why do I have 57 followers? I don't post anything. I don't talk to anyone on here. Except when they do their live events. And then I'm always on there. I'm like, I'm here. I've been here for 3 years, motherfuckers. But, no, I love being one of the early people. Like, there's a lot of people that I'm friends with who I know are going to be, like, big. And it's not even like I'm going to be there whenever they're small and then be there when they're big. But for an example, I knew this guy Echo. He does music and stuff like that. Cool fucking dude. And now he's doing songs with Tech Nine. He's doing all these, like, big rappers and stuff like that. And, like, this guy's, like, blew up. And it's so cool being able to like see him from small to up, and then actually have comments and comments with him, like putting a comment down, he responds. Putting no comment, he responds. And you look at the chain, and you don't see him doing that to anyone else. You're like, that's cool. It's an original, and it's like streaming, same thing. I get to see my my regulars there. It's fantastic, and I love it. Pretty much, if you can like the podcast, if you can share the podcast. Share with social media. When we post TikToks that a little slow at this month, I have a good excuse. I had a broken thumb. By the way, haven't talked about it. Thumb is doing better. Nice. I can almost fully do like a grip. I could do like almost there. I can almost do like a full fist now. So it's getting there. It's getting better. I'm able to play some games. I was streaming today. I got so excited. I was streaming with the community actually today. And while we were streaming, we did this impossible task to do. I got so happy. I almost broke the new chair I just got. I got so excited. I stood up on my chair and like started jumping in the chair. And I'm like, I'm gonna break this. But my fans were there, and they actually helped with it, and it was a ton of fucking fun. Super, a lot of fun. Yeah, it's great. I don't know exactly where we were with the conversation. We're talking about podcasting and stuff like that. Okay,
there's one thing that we got to make sure to bring back, only because we established it, because you were going to talk about, like, I think a Mr. Beast thing.
Yeah, you know, when he's sucking on these nuts, he released a new chocolate bar. He released a new chocolate bar, and the advertisement, I know we can't play, even on the edited version, we cannot play it, but it's literally like, it puts him in like an interview set, and he's like, they're like, what was the biggest accomplishment or something like that you ever done? He's like, honestly, these nuts. And he pulls that, and then it cuts to another guy, and they're like, yeah, I always loved these nuts. I love the taste in my mouth. Oh, I'll always give my friends these nuts. And he named it the chocolate bar. The reason I bring it up is how fucking genius is it? These nuts have been a joke for so long. No one marketed it. No one sat there and said, I want to make a shirt with that. I want to do this. I want to make
I don't know how I feel about this. These nuts are supposed to be public domain.
Well, you can still say you can still like put these nuts on stuff. Okay. I see the jokes. I see it. Okay.
They weren't wasn't intended. It's just after I said it out loud, I heard myself say it. Then it became funny.
I didn't exactly hear it until it processed on it. Public.
All right, now I get it. Now I understand it. Okay.
But I haven't had them yet, and I can't wait to have these nuts in my mouth. It's like, I can't wait.
Remember not to chew. Remember to just let them melt slowly.
Oh, I'm gonna make sure they just rest in my mouth. I want these nuts in my mouth as long as possible.
My chocolate test is to see how they taste frozen. So I'm gonna be putting these nuts in the freezer, and I'm gonna bite into them ice cold. Oh, some chocolates do really well frozen. Some chocolates are weird. Yep. They don't taste cold at all. It's like they just actually just resisted the cold.
Do you like prefer when like you could put it in the freezer and then eat it cold, or do you like
typically? Yeah, I like
cold and the inner is kind of like okay.
I like the crisp, refreshing sensation. So if I can, I'll have cold chocolate over warm chocolate.
Okay, yeah. I get that.
Like Lindt chocolates. Oh.
See, I'm more of a, I love cold chocolate, but in the same boat too. It depends. Like if I'm like doing the podcast or something like that, cold chocolate, fine with. Honestly,
I'm not gonna put hot chocolate in the freezer. That's a paradox. I think if I do that, I'll create a black hole.
You're just destroying the Matrix. You do that, and then you start seeing the numbers on the screen. You're like, oh!
Damn it, Joseph! We had a good thing going.
You put hot chocolate in the freezer. But I haven't had these nuts. I love the name. I haven't had these nuts yet, but when I do, I'm buying it. I'm not eating it until I do the podcast.
I assume there's nuts in the chocolate, which is kind of a deal breaker for me because I don't buy chocolate.
More like Reese's, like a Reese's cup kind of chocolate on the. I think that's it. I don't know. I haven't actually like.
All right.
Seen much.
Because you would I assume that there are nuts in the chocolate bar, called these nuts. Otherwise, it's false advertising.
Well, if it's like the peanut butter, it's kind of like these nuts.
I accept that.
I'm hoping it's more like the Reese's. If it's not like the Reese's, I don't know. I'm probably not gonna be a fan of it. But I will say, so I'm taking a trip here very soon. My birthday's coming up. My birthday's actually this Thursday. I'm excited. I'm turning 24. It's something you shouldn't talk about on the internet. Your age and your birthday date, and my social security number is 07.
License plate number.
Social security.
Intention to murder people.
Home address. The purge date. It's all connected. But yeah, I'm turning 24, and I have an exciting birthday. I've never been excited about my birthday, and this is I don't know if this is depressing or whatever, but so the last birthday I like really got to go out and do something like truly fun was when I turned 20. Because when I turned 21, or no, not even 20, it was like 2019 is when I turned. Yeah, I guess I turned 2019. Because every other year it was COVID. And it was like COVID 2022, 2021. And then 2022 was the year we got to go out, but we had to still wear masks and we're going to like parks and stuff because we really couldn't go anywhere social. And it's like now it's 2023 and I don't have to wear a mask and I can just go out. So we have a whole day planned. We're going to go to play some mini putt-putt early in the morning. After that, we're going to go to Dave & Buster's. We're going to win some tickets. I found my Dave & Buster's card. I still have over 1,500 tickets on there, ready to spend. I'm going to sit there and go to Dave & Buster's. After that, Chinese buffet, because I'm a fat piece of shit and I love it. And then after that, we're going to go home. My sister's making me some homemade zebra cakes. My fattest guilty pleasure is zebra cakes. And so she's making me some homemade zebra cakes. And then the next week after that, I'm going out with some close friends I haven't seen in a while, and we're gonna go out for dinner to catch up. The next day, I travel down to Arkansas. I'm gonna go see my brother that I haven't seen in over a year, and And the reason I'm bringing it up is I want to do a podcast 69.5, or maybe like early podcast 70, like. I don't know yet. I haven't figured it out yet. But so I want to take some microphones and stuff like that, go down there, see them, and have like a like a weird in-person podcast. But I don't want it to take up our current like podcast dates because that's too much time.
No, it's just it's a bonus episode.
Yeah, like a bonus episode.
Yeah, just a bonus
episode.
episode.
I'll sit there, edit it and stuff like that, put it up on there, and just like a little bonus episode. Like that's where it's like podcast 70.5, podcast and a half, or maybe just call it podcast on the rocks, on the scene, whatever. Something just random, but or hell, maybe we just do a live stream. Maybe just do a live stream, then put it in the video and stuff like that. I don't know. Haven't figured out the details, but I really want to do it because I think it'll be fun, and I'm also trying to screw over the IRS. Thank you. If you could write it off as a tax, or if you could write it off all on taxes, I mean, fucking do the trip. But no, I'm just like, I've never been excited about my birthday in a while. And then it's like, this year, it's like I get to do physical activities. I get to go out and play games. I'm like big gamers. I get to go out and play video games. And I get to go out and eat all the food I want, especially Chinese food. That's most of the time not really Chinese food. And then I get to go home and eat zebra cakes. And Brittany will be home. So I could do the deed. Have sex. Make sure that's stated. Probably not. What's the religion that don't have sex? What is that? Mormons?
Ever or just?
No, it's like you're supposed to be married first. What
well, I mean, I think there's a number of religions that are like that. I mean, definitely like Catholic, Christianity. Pretty sure you got to be married.
I was born Christian. Yeah.
Mormon.
I'm a Christian boy.
Mormon is, if I'm understanding Mormonism correctly, it's a DLC download after finishing Christianity. I think that's how it works. Because according to them, like there's like a full book after the New Testament, which is the Book of Mormon. So for them, chronologically, it takes place after the New Testament. So that's any chance I can do a DLC joke, I take. But I'm pretty sure like. Even in like, I think pretty much every like mainline religion wants you to be married before you do it. It's actually the degree of how fanatical they are about marriage, because in some religions, your wife is like prearranged.
Yeah.
So there's even ones that are like, we're just gonna hook you up, and there was a part of me once upon a time that like. Man, I mean, I can go south pretty quick, but it's also nice to not have to worry about dating and you just focus on being my best me. And
see,
hopefully I get a good match.
That's how I was always like when I was growing up. I was like, you know what, not do anything until I'm married, because I'm like, for one, there's a lot of ridiculing, especially when you're a grower, not a shower. So it's like there's a lot of ridiculing and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. And then you sleep in the same bed, and you're just constantly poking the other person. You're like, I don't like this. And then when
the sound effect. Wah.
Well, when the other person
How am I supposed
in
to
the
know when
bed,
this Viagra is working? Wah. All right, we're good. They told me this might happen.
if okay, here's the question though. If your dick had to make a sound when it got hard, what sound would it make? The wheels are turning.
I have an answer, but I feel like it's a really kind of a hack answer, which is that noise that Metapod makes when it uses Harden. It's like, yeah, of course it's gonna use that. It's Harden. Come on, Joseph. Grass grows, birds fly, sun shines. So like, that's like the default sound effect. I don't think about that. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, but yeah.
Most of my answers are all just like stock answers, like.
See,
like, okay, come on. That's
the first one that went through my head was Yahoo! Was the first one that came through my head. It's just Mario. Yahoo!
Well, see, that was the first one that actually came to my head was from Luigi's Mansion when Luigi's going Mario, Mario.
You're over there, hey baby, Mario. Sorry about that.
I think, and I think most people can agree with this. It's probably a good thing that our dicks don't make noises.
Yeah, I mean it's a good. I just love the idea of like the WWE when people come out on stage like da 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 da. If your dick can do that too, and it's like, cause women, it would just be like if you could show off down there, it would be like hallelujah or like I would assume. But for men, it's like, especially me, I would go like, because I'm growing our shows, so as it's growing, like, go Power Rangers! Da, 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 da.
Or maybe it's like one of those time-lapse videos, so it's that really beautiful piano music when you're watching a flower grow over the span of like a year or something like that.
The longer it takes, the slower it goes. So if you're trying not to, but if you take Viagra, it's just like... Oh my god, this is the world's stupidest fucking question. But I love it. I think you have to ask like the world's stupidest question. I just asked one. I need you to ask one of the world's stupidest questions. If not, I'm not gonna feel good about myself tonight.
I mean, I did ask you earlier what was the worst thing that your chode went through. So
yeah, but I mean that's like, I don't know. That's not like the dumbest question. Like it's actually like, you know, you put habanero on it, you know. I just deal with infections because, you know.
I mean, I'll play ball, but I need to think. Stupidity doesn't just.
You're a comedian. Stupidity does just come up. every comedian, because that's how we get our brains.
Which
rolling.
is why over the course of this episode, a number of stupid things have been said, but when prompted, it changes the dynamic. So.
Okay, so while you think though, can I just explain a talent that I wish I didn't have? So I'm gonna cut to my screen here. If you're an audio listener, thank you for listening this far. This is more gonna be visual. So I spent $14 on a lock yesterday because there's a video I want to film, and it's gonna be filmed later on this year, and I wanted to make sure that I could even like kind of do it in a reasonable time. I'm not getting practice with it, but I found out I have a sneaking talent for this. So I have a lock, and it's unlocked. I'm gonna lock it. It's now officially locked. There's no buttons. There's no switches on it. I have this sick talent of, I guess, like my inner Skyrim comes in, and I can just like lockpick so easily now. And it's not like it was a hard talent to learn. It's just one of the things I don't know if you're born with it, but it was just one of the things I found out that I have a talent for. And it's one of the dumbest talents. Like, I can lockpick almost anything. Now, I'm saying this. I already messed it up. So there's pins in a lockpick, but I found out, I don't know when I was doing it. I did it with me and Brittany, and I was sitting on the couch, not paying attention. I unlocked it, and I was like, that's cool. And then I actually focused on it. I was like, hold on. So this was like $11 lock, $14 lock. Picked in less than 30 seconds. Okay, not bad. So what did I do? I spent $20 on a lock. Now, once again, I spent $20 on a lock and was like, okay, because you don't want to sit there and do a video and it looks fake about everything you do. So I'm like, okay, you can't let it be fake, because if you make it look fake, people are going to assume it's fake. If you make it look too real, they're going to assume it's fake. So you got to play this like devil's advocate. But the worst part with playing this devil's advocate, if you're too good at it, people aren't going to believe you. If you're bad at it, people are going to believe you, but you have to
like
make
Counter-Strike. You know what I mean? Like if somebody is really good at Counter-Strike, everybody thinks the player is hacking.
Yeah, I guess that's a good description, because I still think James is a hacker. Like, he's very good at Counter-Strike.
I shot a guy in the face unscoped, and you thought I was a hacker for like 3 months.
Well, I still think you are. I just think you removed.
Oh, okay.
I just thought you like maybe removed the hacks on your computer.
All right. Yeah.
You're not
illustrated my point, but I guess
I still think you're a hacker. But yeah, I found out that I'm sadly very good at lockpicking. And yeah, I absolutely hate it. And it's a cheap lockpick set. I hate it. That's a talent you never want to be good at. You never want to just be able to tell your friends, I can lockpick things. It's cool. So when something gets stolen, guess what happens? Jordan, where did it go? So
you're now officially the first person I'm going to be contacting on Purge night.
Can we just change the episode title from the podcast to the hypothetical or allegedly podcast to the Purge night podcast? We just talk about everything Purge related, being like, on Purge night, guys, that's what we're doing. So I think I bought you enough time. Have you figured out?
Yeah. So let's say you were a master over one of the elements, kind of like the elemental benders from Avatar. So you could shoot streams of water, like water Pokemon, or maybe lightning or fire. And you can have up to 2. One has to come out of your dick. One has to come out of your butthole.
Of like the elements?
Yeah. So like, would your dick shoot lightning? Would you double down and master shooting water out of your dick? Would you shoot fire out of your butt?
Oh, that's a good question. I think.
No, it's a terrible question. You left me very little recourse.
I think I would do psychic out the butt. No, psychic out the penis. And dark out the butt. There we go. I think I picked the bitch ass answers. I think I would do, let's go to actual elements and not.
No, I totally accept that. Now that's actually expanding my my thought too. Like, oh man, maybe I do want to do kinesis out of my butt.
Cause I mean, farting like fire out your butt. Like, people don't think about the repercussions. Like, if you're gonna do lightning bolt, you don't want to whip your cock out going lightning bolt, because lightning comes back. So you don't want to sit there and just scoot. I choose lightning bolt, boom, and especially if you have a small pee-pee, because then you're not whipping anything out. You're just going lightning bolt. It's like there's just a tiny little beep.
Like that's just like the act of unbuckling our pants builds up static electricity. So that's a tricky one. So I think for me, I might as well just do water magic out of my butt, because I feel like I can self clean that way.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like I got my own bidet. If I master like the ability to build up pressure and release it, I can use it as hovering. So I can use it for travel. So I think in this world where everybody has magic powers coming out of their dicks, their butts, and let's be progressive here, their tits. For those of you who have tits, I'm sure you'll be allowed to dual wield. Now I'm gonna just to be fair, like you can't shoot one element out of one and then another element out of another. I'm sorry, that's unbalanced. You're gonna have to dual wield one element, otherwise this is just not gonna work out. So water out of my butt, but I think I will take the I will take lightning. I won't be easy, but I'm willing to make the sacrifice for my craft because I'm already devoted to lightning magic.
Man,
So-
I gotta change my answer because you're like really like actually giving like, oh, okay, I'll sacrifice this. I just went for like the ones that won't affect me at all. I would do. I have to go with lightning out the penis still because I think that would just be funny. So I have to go lightning out the penis. For the butt. For the butt, I'll just choose fighting. Just a fist comes out, or I guess your turd would just come out. Bam!
Your turd comes out in the shape of a fist.
Yeah, I mean it's fighting type, so why not? So it'll be Earth, Earth, but. The lightning part, because I'm just imagining you get. Dude,
I think you had the best answer with psychic magic coming out of the butt. It just like him. Don't look at it. You didn't have to tell me not to do that. Believe it or not, I already didn't want. Oh no.
I wasn't gonna stare at your
photo
ass.
of you. It was like, I got this photo of Jordan. People have to deal with it the same way they dealt with Medusa, where they need shields with mirrors on it. It's just like they have to start defending against your psychic beams coming out of your butt. All right, well, that was the dumbest joke I could come up with under the circumstances.
Thank you, TikTok.
You know who I appreciate? Seth MacFarlane. I really appreciate his style of comedy because he's educated, he's sophisticated, he's got like an amazing talent, he's an amazing singer, but he will do the darkest, filthiest, vilest jokes for Family Guy. There's the things that they do. I'm shocked that they get away with. So I appreciate that. I love the idea of like being highly intelligent, but have no problem whatsoever with the kind of humor that basically everybody can relate to. Toilet humor and drug humor and sex humor and all that stuff. I would love to be on Jackass. I have like quite a few stunts planned if I got to be on Jackass, and one of them would be a Hot Ones parody where me and I don't know Steve-O do an interview segment, and then we keep pouring hot sauce on our junk and keep.
What's your best Steve-O impression?
Oh no, I can't do a Steve-O impression.
You can't do Steve-O?
I've never tried. Nah. My range ain't that good. So if you got one, go for it.
I'm gonna try, cause I have to sit there like. The whole thing with like actually sitting there trying to get an impression is you got to think like them. You have to slowly change your voice to it. So you want to go a little bit like you want to lower down your voice and high. That's that I can't. But it's kind of like that. It's like a little raspy because he does drugs and stuff. So it's like, guys, that's absolutely amazing. That's the kind of guy I want to see when I'm over there on the lines. Blowing fire out my ass. That is what I want to see.
Okay, I can hear it. I can
hear it a bit, but it's not as vocal though. Like
the thing too is that like his persona is he's got a very chill persona. So the people who we can impersonate the best are people who are already kind of doing an impression of themselves.
Me is just. Guys, I'm giving away Prius, and then there you go. There's that impression. No, Steve-O's cool as shit though. Like I got to see a little bit of what he does and stuff like that. Dude, did you see the ad for the new comedy movie coming out with the Machine? The dude who did the whole Machine bit.
Bert Kirshner.
Yeah, Bert. Yeah. So I saw the ad for that. I went, oh my god, it's finally a movie. Dude, this year's movies list and TV shows are just I can't wait. You have the Mario, you have the whole like Burt, you have Five Nights at Freddy's movie is in development with Markiplier being one of the, correct me if I'm wrong, Markiplier being one of the directors or one of the secret directors. Markiplier made a comment that he was working on something big. Other people made comments they were working on something big. And then there was a leaked teaser showing a poster for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie coming out. Now, this could all be wrong. I don't know. Let me know. But if that is true, though, we have Five Nights at Freddy's coming out. Markiplier, one of the biggest Five Nights at Freddy's people involved in it. And just... but so many good movies. The Last of Us came out this year. I can't wait to watch that. It's like we have so much like that's coming out this year. Games are finally releasing. Games are getting talked about being made.
Mm-hmm. I'm starting to warm up to the new Zelda coming out because I started replaying Breath of the Wild after not having touched it for like basically years at this point. And I'm starting to like okay. It's still a lot of fun. It's still good quality. I think I'll enjoy because at this point, like I don't enjoy Zelda anymore. I'm just gonna throw myself off the balcony. So like, okay, I'm ready to enjoy it. You know what I ended up getting back into was Streets of Rage. I hadn't touched that game for quite a few months, and then one of these days I had to go on a trip, and I'm like, all right, guess I'm bringing my Switch. I ain't got many games. I guess I'll just play Streets of Rage, and it lined up just as I had watched this video breaking down how like most people who played Sonic the Hedgehog 3 didn't really play it properly because everybody just plays it like, oh, as long as I got a ring, I'm gonna be okay, and I just get through the game. But he encourages people to actually focus on trying to like boost your score, which totally changes the game because now you don't want to get hit ever. So you have to know exactly how to jump, get your timing right, how to save time so that you get more time bonus at the end of the level, and it's a completely different game experience. And it made me realize how like, you know, it's the games, a lot of effort is put into making them really fun on the first playthrough, especially a lot of these like cinematic games where you got a story that you can only tell once, you got visuals that are only impressive once, and sound that's only impressive once. But the real games are the ones that after you start getting good, and it's a totally different gameplay experience at that point, and now the music is like working with you, and Streets of Rage is just wow, chef's kiss. It's chef's kiss. It's brilliant for that kind of thing. So that's what kind of what I'm into right now as far as games go.
Okay. So this is a guilty pleasure of mine. I know I talked about this many times. Minecraft is like one of my go-to games to just unwind and relax. I got to play with my brother today that we haven't sat down and played Minecraft since I left Arkansas. So it was a long time ago. And I got to sit down and play with them today. And it was the first time I played Minecraft and like truly felt like, felt like a kid again. Like I got up at 7 o'clock this morning because I couldn't sleep, but I got up at 7 o'clock and he called and he was like, hey, I want to hop on Minecraft or something. And I went, yeah. I was like, let's fucking do it. So me and him hopped on Minecraft and we were just, I don't know. It was so weird because it was like nothing ever happened. We're like kids again. We're just drinking our coffee. We're over there talking about food that we're not eating and making dick jokes and stuff like that and singing random songs at random points. Like it was just like he'd be like, yeah, someday. I'll be like, someday, somehow. And he just goes, I won't give it right now. And then, of course, I ruin it always. I want you in. So I just like ruined every song at the end of it. But it was just like, I don't know. It was when you can get things that like brings you back to like a happier time, a less stressful time, a less like pressured period in your life. And you can just have something that takes you back there. It's so refreshing. And I got that today. And it was like this weird high. And I can't explain highs besides adrenaline highs. That's why I can say it's a weird high, because I do a lot of things that are adrenaline-based. But this was like a weird, like just a thrill that I would love to get back again, but I know I never will. And it was such a weird experience, but I was like, this is nice. Like, this is good. And the sun was hitting me in the wind. Like, it was just, it was such a great thing. So Minecraft is like my guilty pleasures that go on and relax. But today especially, it was just like, it was a weird take me back moment, and it was just, I don't know, it was nice, but yeah, Minecraft's like,
I mean, games are made to please, right? I mean, that's what they're for.
they're
They're
made
made
to,
to make us
yeah,
happy and please.
and
Yeah,
they
man. But
fucking
just like
nailed it.
I'll just say mine real quick. But like, cause Streets of Rage, it's a beat 'em up, but aside from its combat, which is very good, it's known for its music.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get into that groove where enemies are just being like juggled around the stage, but not so much so that they can't fight back, because I don't like to play the game like I'm a clown, and the combos are racking up, and the music just gets to that right moment, and you start to feel that groove in the whole body, and it's a great experience. And honestly, it sometimes it worries me that like games are not gonna have that effect on me anymore. That I'm getting too old, too jaded, too cynical. But nah,
Man,
man,
you
then
get
music
it.
helps out a lot too, because music is put on this planet to remind us what it's
Yep.
like to feel things. So yeah, no, I'm with you, man. It's great to have that feeling.
It is, and you bring up the music side, and I think like that's the biggest thing. I've studied psychology, and this is why it's so weird. The fact I've never been to a school, because I've studied so much on my own, and like so I studied psychology for almost 3 years, and one of the things I learned is smell, sight, and listen. If you can have two of those things line up 2 times in 2 different parts of your life, you will get this weird deja vu, but the right feeling about it. It could be a negative feeling, it could be a positive feeling, but you have that same exact response happen. And it's such a weird experience. It could be the smell in the air, rain about to fall down, while Nickelback's playing the second track. It's like just that alone can sit there and trigger like just this like weird like I remember this 18 years ago, and like this happened. It's so neat. But
Mhm.
I guess last topic I want to bring up, because we're talking about games and stuff like that, and we're getting to the end of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Um, there, Gavin Free brought this up on the last podcast he was on, and I was genuinely curious, and I want to ask you, the audience, as well. Game or advertisement in video games, do we think that's going to be more popular than a billboard? Like a billboard in a video game. Let's put, for an example, Grand Theft Auto. Billboard in a video game. Quest Obelisk 3. Billboard on the game. Let's say 2 years, it updates. Someone else buys a spot for it. Nintendo 64's remake, Wii U, what the fuck ever. New billboard gets put up. Do we think a billboard in a video game can be more valuable than a billboard in real life?
Oh, so the question is if it's going to have more value?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, of course it can. It just because it's based off like, are you researching your target market and what do you like, what we know about people who play a particular game? I thought the question was going to be more ethical. Like, is this something that we're going to be okay with? Is this going to happen or not happen?
Well, the reason I was kind of leaning in the boat, but the biggest one I was more curious about is like, do we think it's going to be more popular in video games? Because in video games, we're not really focused on, yeah, the billboard over there left of San Andreas has Quest Obelisk 2 on it, and then like a special
Sure.
promo code to add in, but
So two
versus you go
things.
outside now and you can see it.
Yeah, so two things. One, I just wanted to actually just add one final touch point to our
Yeah.
previous topic because when I was talking about PodCamp and the fact that I had been going to that for like 8 years, not consecutively, but for quite a while, that really took me back this year because I was walking the same hallway, going up the same flight of stairs that I'd gone up for years and years, and that's where like I started getting emotional because I realized like I'm growing, right? I'm growing,
Yeah.
I'm changing, and I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago or 8 years ago or whatever it was when I started attending. So that ties in a lot of what we're talking about is that like you're not going to get that unless you stick to something. So anyways, but one of the misconceptions about video games that became a problem very early on, or it was established early on, is that when we think video game, we think something where we are constantly interacting in a reactive or potentially proactive state, but in a heightened alert state. Galaga, Asteroids, Centipede, all of the early games were all games where you couldn't hold still for 1 second. So there was a one-to-one relationship between moving, doing something, shooting, jumping, spin dashing, whatever, and being in danger. Like you put your quarter into an arcade game. Every last one of those arcade games was trying to kill you right away.
Yep.
So you're always interacting with a video game, but it took quite a long time before we started interacting with games as a hybrid of I don't even know what to call it, but like a situation that requires reactivity versus just an interactive environment. So Super Mario 64, for instance, was a tentpole game for a lot of players because for me, I remember Super Mario 64 was the first game where like I didn't just have challenges and I wasn't just in danger a lot of the time, but it was also just a virtual environment, a virtual reality. I have freedom now. I can run around, I can jump, I can explore, I can punch things, I can do things that are not productive, not conducive to gameplay whatsoever. And then Zelda, the reason why Zelda imprinted on me and the reason why it's my number one series to this day, because not only could I interact with the environment, but there was now context. I can talk to the townspeople. I could explore. I could dig up things. I can roll into trees and knock well, they didn't have apples at first, but you might get rupees out of it.
Yeah.
So what we've been conditioning players for the last 10, 15 years is to treat our game environments as a mixture of gameplay scenarios, but also interactive environments in virtual reality. And with the emergence of the metaverse, we've already laid out the groundwork for this years in advance. So once, gear becomes accessible and people are going to be putting on glasses and we're actually going to be recording sitting in a virtual environment and not doing this anymore because this is cool, but it's not the best that we can do.
Mm-hmm.
The advertisements are going to, of course, they're going to be a part of it. So Grand Theft Auto, I think, is a great example to use because it very much mimics the real world.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of people, the more that we are going to be spending time interacting with these environments in a way that's safe, in a way that allows us to just experience freedom, then yeah, advertising will be a natural part of that. I think the core concern of it is when advertisements are showing up in situations where either A, it's not appropriate, or B, it's distracting. Like if we're, like the next recreation of Halo 1 and we get off the ship, in the silent cartographer level, and we're charging up the beach, and then we see like ads being plastered, or guys are yelling out like, "It's intense!" But you know what else is intense? Saving 50% of your car insurance every month by switching to Geico. Like, okay, now we've gone too far. Now we've gone, yeah. So like, where in environments where advertising is what we've already come to expect, yeah, it's a natural progression. So.
Okay, so and then with that being the case, though. I mean, because I bring up that because Gavin brought up a very good point. Is like we play video games because we're trying to get out of our reality, but we are still in our reality. So if you have a game like GTA and you see a billboard, and I'm just saying like for like an Obulus 3 or whatever, you see that billboard, and if you see the billboard, there's a code on it, and you can get the code. But then like GTA updates, now that billboard changed to something else. Yeah. And the reason I think like Gavin was onto something there is like, you could definitely sit there and like make that another way to advertise and still make very good money while doing so. But it's also like the billboards. I don't look at billboards while I'm driving around, but I'll tell you this, in GTA, I know where a lot of the billboards are. Because there's collectibles on them, there's good hiding spots on them for missions, there's there's so much stuff in it, and like some of the pan shots and things like that. The one game that did it so fucking well, and I don't think they've really gotten that much credit for, was Midnight Club Los Angeles. Now, for those of you who may not know, Midnight Club Los Angeles had two of the biggest sponsors on there besides the vehicle companies. They had Pizza Hut and T-Mobile. Every fucking street you went down, there's either a Pizza Hut, just bam, or a T-Mobile, bam, and it was just constant. Like no matter where you go in GTA, or not GTA, Midnight Club, the expansion map, you got a little less of it, but it was still there. Like in everywhere you went, it was like T-Mobile, Pizza Hut, and that stuck with me so much to where right now, guess who my provider is? T-Mobile. Guess what my serial number is? 1-800. It's like that imprinted in my brain so much to where, as growing up, I went to T-Mobile. And what did I do? I bought a fucking T-Mobile phone, and I'm not leaving them. It's like, that has stuck with me so much. And so I think the video game advertisements could be so beneficial, and more than just our physical advertisements for like billboards and stuff like that. Now, saying that too, I love going out of state and then seeing billboards for like things you have no fucking idea of. So like they're leading up to this, like I hate and love the billboards that are like 18 billboards spelling out something, especially when you can't fucking read. So you're going like H A P P Y. And that's it. You're like, where the rest? It's like, I don't get why
would they have to have a blank billboard just to act as space between the first and second word?
There's a highway. If you drive like, I think it's like, there's gonna be truck drivers who get this, but there's gonna be like, if you drive 70 highway, there's like a billboard, and it's like spells out so much stuff. But there's a billboard every third or every like 20 feet. There's another billboard, finish spelling it out, and then there's just one billboard that's white. Just a white fucking sheet. And either they bought it and said keep it that way, or just no one wants to buy it.
They just didn't want some other competitor to walk away with the wrong impression, right? You know what I mean? Like if you go through like 20 billboards worth of like Jesus loves you, and then at the very end it's like household cleaner or something like that. Like come on guys, kind of broke the vibe a little bit.
Oh man, I love it.
Makes you wonder just like how creative ads are gonna get when they're being advertised in virtual space rather than real space, because that's a lot of billboard. Like that's a lot of people having to climb up on precarious heights to plaster those onto the things and then take them down afterwards. So see, I'm a total like money whore. I have no qualms about saying that, but I've always appreciated advertising because at least it's an equal playing ground. Every industry can funnel money into it, which means that the people who make the ads can always find work, right? You get people who write, people who act, people who create, sing. It's a way for the dirtiest, filthiest industries to fund artists, and we like our money. So I have no problem being a whore about and admitting that part of it. So I like advertising as a form of messaging. And I'm looking forward to seeing what people are going to come up with when, you know, the limitations that we have now are not the limitations that we're going to be facing in the next 10 years.
Dude, I can't wait to see like our future advertisements. And I know that's weird to say, but like I refuse to get YouTube Premium, except for my music. When I'm working out and you're over there, you know, pumping it, and then you're like, now are you single and looking for a lover? I'm working out.
I'll tell you
Continue.
why I will gladly accept free trials, but I will never pay for YouTube Premium, because that whole music playing thing with like the phone off, they used to do that for free.
Yeah, they used to.
And then they took that feature away, and that to me is a deal breaker. I mean, you can still just download a bunch of tracks onto your phone. I still have download music on my phone, which I paid for.
See, if I paid for music, I would download on my phone and I'll do whatever with it. But like, I don't know, with like YouTube Music, there's always like new artists I'm finding, new music. I absolutely find that I'm like, damn, I love this. I will just like go, okay, and if I'm working out and like I need something different to like up my rhythm, and I'll be like, okay, what was that one song? All the other kids with the pumped up. Okay, there we go. And put it. I don't know why I brought up a song about a school shooting, but
that's what it was about.
It's fucked up. You know what's also fucked up? This podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching the Skull Owner podcast. Remember, this podcast was brought to you by Anchor, your all-in-one platforming needs. Greatly appreciate you guys. Thank you, Joseph, for being here as my co-host. Thank you, Charles, for helping massacring a lot of people. Chris Hansen will be contacting you very shortly. And guys, get ready. Next podcast, episode 69. Don't want to miss it. Stay tuned for that. We love you guys. Goodbye, everybody.